Welcome to the Tenaciously Resolute podcast. Hi, and welcome back to the Tenaciously Resolute podcast. I'm your girl, Kareece, and I'm so happy to be with you all for another episode of the podcast. Today, we're talking festive season, styling, daring to dream, as well as gratitude. And you're stuck with me today because in this festive season, I just felt to sit and chit-chat with you all. So, today, I wanted to talk on styling because many of you would have asked privately, some of you would have met me in person and asked, how you put those outfits together. And I think no better time to talk about that than the festive season. So essentially, once we're talking styling, you have to start with your foundation. And your foundation is not necessarily only for your makeup. It starts with your undergarments, right? So whether it is that you're doing a no strap bra for outfits that are asymmetrical, like what I have on now, or you're doing bras that can have maybe clear straps that can be concealed, or you're doing maybe even a shield for, your intimate areas. You just have to ensure that it is seamless, that it does not show through your clothes, and that ideally that your clothes sit well, right? Same thing goes for underwears, and this is for both female and male, right? Females, those seamless panties come in clutch all the time, as well as having a good girdle or some sort of waist cincher. That is also a positive. But especially with your underwear, you have to be mindful of ensuring that the colors that you place underneath light colors can be concealed. So not placing colors like white under white because it would show, but instead placing darker colors like surprisingly dark red or navy blue or black can work. And for men, to ensure that your underpants are not showing through, you ensure that you wear a belt to keep it up on your waist. Just simple tips like that. But that also works for females in jeans, So that would kind of cover your basics for undergarments. Having a well-fitted bra, you check a bra shop to have your fittings done, as well as ensure that your undergarments and your underwear matches the vibe of your outfit. From there, we start building from that foundation. You either do one or two things. You either take your clothes that you already have to be tailored to your body, because sometimes things don't exactly fit right. We all have curves in different places, and you would like to accentuate your curves for you. So check in your seamstress to add an extra dart behind your jeans if it's too baggy, or along your waist if it is that you're probably slimmer. There is also a very nice added impact because you appear more tailored in your clothing, and it generally looks way better. Knowing your size as well as fit is also very important. So you might be a size large, but for certain clothing, an oversized look might be better than a slimmer cut. So you may need to size up a size or two to have that impact. Sometimes we don't consider that when we see models online. All of those styling tips are going into ensuring that the outfit comes out how you're seen on screen. So essentially, sometimes you may need to size up or size down based on the stretch of an outfit. Ideally, the tags are just there to have a guideline, but you have to know what you're going for. So if you know you want a fit that's more relaxed, probably size up a little bit. If you know that you want to be snatched, wear your exact size, maybe have it tailored. So with those tips, you could essentially have your body looking a whole lot better in your clothes, because it starts making your pieces more seamless and perfect and fitted to you, right? So for items like dresses, ensure that you steam them and iron them to make sure you know the wrinkles are out, as well as your hair. Your hair plays a major part in the way that you present yourself. So I know most times when we go to work, sometimes we don't put a lot of emphasis into that, but having your hair done takes your outfit up about by 10. Your hair and your makeup by 20. So make sure that you're slicking back your hair, and if you're going for a natural style, as I often do with my locks out, just make sure that it's retied or retwisted, or if you want it to look fuzzy and boho, add some accessories like a big scrunchie, a bandeau, funky also looks nice. So just adding those little detailed pieces takes your look from maybe being a 7 or a 6 right up to being a 10. In terms of tops, it's neither here nor there, because it's really based on the vibe that you're going for. If you're styling t-shirts, sometimes a cropped t-shirt looks better than a longer one, because you have less bulk to fit into your pants, to fit into your jeans. Sometimes the crop will just stop right exactly where you need it. But there are certain times that you need a actual long t-shirt that can give you extra coverage if you're placing it over the pants, right? So like peplum tops if you're plus sized, or even straight cut but tailored cuts also look fantastic on the outside, especially those that have the nice little rounded base or a scalloped finish. Fantastic. So ladies, if you're doing tops, make sure that your top is in your color palette. If you've never had a color analysis done, you should consider it for the new year. I personally am a winter, and I know that my colors are supposed to be more the emerald based colors, so like the really rich purples and the really rich greens and those type of things. It allows my complexion to glow. Once you're wearing that on the upper part of your body, or it takes up a large part of your outfit, it typically aids in the way that your complexion looks, right? So once you have that down, those steps keep incrementally boosting how fantastic you look, because some colors can bleach you out, could kind of make your complexion look dull. It can make you look as if you're tired. However, if you wear the right colors, you wouldn't believe how much of a glow it adds to your skin. I think these tips are important because this is the season to go out, not just to be jolly. And sometimes when we're picking our pieces and, we're making ourselves look extra cute, you should have some of these things running in the back of your mind, because not everything is for everyone. You have to dress for your body type. Getting acquainted with what your body type is also adds to the general fit of your outfit. If you're square shaped, you might need to add more dimensions, things that pull in your waist, things that add a flare at your hips. Remember that you may not have the shape that someone else has. And if you're super curvy, sometimes even that presents a problem, because you might have gapping in the back of your pants. Oversized tees may just totally, straighten you out, because it's creating a boxy effect. You may have to lean more into crop tops, so you could have, your outfits breaking into 3, so you have a more unique fit that doesn't totally throw your shape off balance. So, Dressing is not as easy as just picking something up and be like, oh, I like this. Or I saw my friend wearing this and I want to wear it too. It's really customizable to the person wearing the garment. If you have bigger arms and you're not really happy with showing them, you might need to wear something that has a little puffy sleeve or a little cap sleeve or a little flute sleeve. There's so many things that you could add. Off the shoulder, don't be afraid to rock your outfits. I'm plus size. I've been this way for the majority of my life. I've lost weight. And one thing about me, it doesn't matter what size I am, I'm going to kill an outfit. Once it is that I see the things that I'm looking for, that's all that matters. So dress for you and for your body type. Additionally, things that take your look up, moisturize your skin. And before you do that, bathe, moisturize, and then seal it with an oil. Everybody wants glowy skin. That's how we achieve it. And it doesn't have to be the most expensive oil. You wouldn't believe simple oils like olive oil and shea butter can add a nice richness to your skin. It can allow you to glow it looks like a glow from within actually, but truly it is simply your technique in the way that you do things. So you need to seal in moisture. So you don't just go in with an oil and dry skin. You need to be damp. You need to moisturize with a good occlusive cream. And I know for us down here, we like Jergens. We like Jergens and some of the more affordable brands. But there's many different ones that work really well. So play around with it and get what works best for you. If you have super dry skin, get a urea cream. It's being sold at pharmacies all over Trinidad and Tobago. And if you have cracked heels, urea cream followed by some sort of petroleum jelly, followed by socks overnight. It will soften up those cracks and ensure that you have very soft, pretty feet, right? So we're heading into feet, right? So we did body care, we did styling. Let's talk feet. Ensuring that you go do your nails is a big part of styling. Now, nails, it can be done or you don't have to do it. To me personally, having your nails done is a plus. This is the season that we're doing a lot of cleaning. There are times that it's acceptable for you not to do your nails, right? So you could do a little clear polish, leave it as that, or a little top coat of your favorite color. And then from there, if it is that you don't want to break the bank, we move on to things like press-on nails, and then from there we move on to or gel nails or acrylics. Size and style and length, it's applicable to the person. For me, I prefer a stiletto nail. That's traditionally what I would do. But once I'm cleaning this Christmas, that's not going to get done until I am done. Because I do believe with nails, you have to take extra care. You don't want your nail beds breaking because you're being aggressive with your hands. You do not want your hands to be dry because you're probably interacting with chemicals like bleach. You have to keep your hands moisturized and your nails oiled. And that generally pulls together the look. In terms of your feet, try to do a foot soak as often as you can. And if you're not going for a professional pedicure, you could simply set up your foot soak with some Epsom salts and a good foot scrub. And once you have a pumice stone, you could scrub your feet, and that would generally give you at least some measure of cleanliness, taking off some of the dead skin. And it tends to work out if you do that on a consistent basis. Hot water loosens any type of heavy skin that might be there and dead skin. Hot water does an amazing job. So between the pumice stone and another abrasion, you generally are able to do some sort of cleanup. From there, if you want, you could soften up your cuticles and do some scraping, do some buffing of your nails and paint them. And generally, that's it for your feet, right? My tips are not necessarily meant for you to go breaking the bank in all areas. Sometimes we cut and we conserve and contrive, and other times we spend to get your maintenance done. Me, personally, I love a good maintenance week. I love going to get my hair done, my nails done, but I do believe that there's a time and a place for everything that we decide to do, and it should always be based on your own personal journey. So if it is that you are not able to financially, ball out, do the simpler route. Soak your feet at home, scrub your feet, moisturize, seal in the moisture, make sure your feet are nice and soft. Moisturize your body after you bathe, seal it with an oil. Ensure that if you're wearing clothes that it's not stained or obviously stained, and that if it has holes that it is mended, or if the holes are there for aesthetic purposes, that it doesn't show too much of your intimate areas, because clothes these days, the styles could come either here or there. So based on what the vibe that you are going for, pick the items that represent your vibe and style it based on how you want to look, right? So let's move on to hair. The last thing I would like to say about hair, cut and color makes a big difference in your look. I know some people might be a little bit afraid of color, especially when we're talking about bleaching and developing of hair, because while it might break down the hair strands, it could cause some damage. But there are things like hair waxes and so many other products that would develop to put over natural hair. You could still switch it up. Those of us that are more risky, like myself, bleach the hair, dye the hair, style the hair, but just make sure you treat your hair. Your hair has to be moisturized, and you also need to at times oil your ends if you intend to retain some length. So you see things like those things just take you up a further notch, especially if it is that you generally may be wondering what is the missing link. Some of those things can be the missing link. In terms of your makeup, you can start by shaping your eyebrows. If it is that you need to clean up around the eyebrows, you could do that. You could go for a wax. I know Sasha does waxing at a pretty affordable rate, probably like $40. Or you could go the traditional route and use a razor. And I'm talking about the single blade razor because I don't want nobody saying that I would have told them to go and use a razor that you use below your arms and elsewhere for your eyebrows. Use a razor, shape your eyebrows. You could tint it if you like, or you could use a pencil that is a lighter color to add more dimension in terms of how your eyebrows look. It doesn't always have to be stark black. You could switch it up. Having a good foundation that matches your skin tone or goes a little darker than your skin tone also adds for a very flawless makeup application. Reason being, if you're going to go in and highlight the inner portions of your face, if the outer portions of your face is a little darker, the inner portion between the blend becomes more neutral. You see where I'm going with that? So essentially it means that when you start blending the dark with the light concealer, it starts creating your own complexion in the mix. So it becomes more seamless and more of your skin tone, while still allowing you to have more contour within your base because your foundation might be a little deeper. It's really truly an old school trick to ensure that you could bring both light and shadows into your face. Having a good blush is always going to take your look up, right? Getting a pink, a peach, a orange blush, or a purple blush based on your skin tone, especially for women that are of color, it does amazing work to your overall look. Blush just brings that color back and it makes sure that you look refreshed and nice and healthy. You could tell I'm a big fan of some blush, so I'll recommend it for you as well. But the trick to blush is that after you apply it, go out into natural light. See if the blush is too harsh. If it is, the trick to that is going back in with your foundation brush. You're not going to apply any type of additional product to the brush. You tap it off, make sure the brush has a good layer of foundation that would have been there from before, and you could lightly tap it against the blush to make it more neutral, so it wouldn't be as aggressive. Please remember that makeup for pictures and TV and makeup for real life is two different forms of art, because you will end up in the street looking crazy with a pink blush that is blinding on your cheeks. So make sure and use restraint with bright pigments, especially if you're using that makeup for in-person interactions. Makeup for TV is a little bit more different because you need a heavier hand, as well as you need probably a little extra product, right? So while you do your skincare and your makeup, ensure that your makeup is flawless and suitable for where you're heading, right? Some eyeliner and mascara, always mandatory. And ensure you put some color on your lips. If you're going to do a bright color, line your lips. If you're going to do something more neutral, play into your pinks, play into your lights, or your nudes, or maybe even a very light shade of red, right? So with that being said, I know I did this a little bit back to front, but make sure before you put a drop of makeup on your face that we moisturize. We use a good primer. I personally use an e.l.f. primer to make sure that your makeup sticks to your face. You use maybe a hydro grip or some sort of primer that will allow the makeup to adhere. And while you apply your powders, you make sure you set your makeup, set it with some sort of setting spray. And at the end of your application, after you've powdered and sealed in powder blush on top of your liquid blush, after you've put powder on top of your foundation, use a deeper powder on top of your bronzer. When you are done doing all of these things, you make sure and you set your makeup. Do not leave the house if you have not done so. All your makeup is going to run off. Every hug that you give is going to transfer. Ladies, we have to get it together, right? And we live in a very hot climate, so make sure and, use a finishing spray, use a setting spray. You need that makeup to hold, right? So ideally, there are many brands that you could utilize. I have my favorites, but for each person could require a different product. So I generally don't like to recommend a specific one to each person, but just know that there are some setting sprays and finishing sprays that is going to be basically waterproof. And if you're doing that, you're going to need an oil to remove it, right? So based on the function that you're heading to or what you want to do, please ensure that your makeup is suitable to that. So that is just some general styling tips. Always remember, finish each of your outfits with at least some earrings, maybe a bangle. In some cases, you could do a ring, However you choose to add to your decor or add to the way that you choose to decorate your face or your skin, make sure it fits the vibe and go with it. Each tip is not for a singular person, but take what you can and utilize it in your outfits, especially in this festive season. Now is the time to look your best. Everybody is going to be out and about, and so will you. So take the time to maybe add 1 or 2 tips into your routine, right? So though I am done speaking about tips on hair and nails and all of these things, I'm thinking that I would have utilized a lot of those things throughout the year. And because of the way that sometimes you present yourself, it could allow you to have opportunities because of the way that you look. Sometimes we underplay it or we downplay it, but looks could literally open some doors for you or close some doors for you. And speaking of doors, I wanted to just take a moment to just chat about gratitude. You know, this year was a really interesting year for me, and there were ups and downs. However, at the end of the year, I could definitely say that I feel like if I would have been able to meet a lot of my goals. And for that, I am very grateful to God and to all my friends and family that would have been very instrumental in some of my wild and crazy dreams. Guys, I'm being very honest with you. Some of them might have wild and crazy dreams. And I've always said, if your dreams aren't big enough to scare you, you're not dreaming right. You need to go back to the drawing board, you know? And sometimes you don't see the end at the very beginning. You don't see the finances at the very beginning. It is still important to take this step. Each minuscule step in the right direction, sometimes you don't see how far you have come. And when you look back, that is only when you realize that you would have been able to cover a lot of ground. So don't let big ideas deter you. Don't let them intimidate you. Just figure out what is step one. And after you've done with step one, we move on to step two. And if you meet a stumbling block, sometimes it's good to step back and assess. Ask yourself questions. I know you're not crazy for asking yourself questions. You need to check in with yourself. How am I feeling? This plan that I had didn't go right. What were some of the things that factored in that caused it not to go right? Be sure not to blame others and start with yourself. See where you participated in the plan falling apart. Also ask God if it was his will for you, because sometimes straight up it maybe wasn't God's will, and that is why your plans may have fallen apart. And if that is not the case, reassess and plan again. There's more than one way to skin a cat. We've been saying that since we were small, right? So sometimes it can be your technique and the way that you chose to go about it, as opposed to, you know, just the general planning. So don't be afraid to step back and look at things from an objective point of view and try it again. You understand? The thing about life is the people that are often successful in what they do, it's not that they're extremely great or they are gifted. Sometimes they're just persistent. They just have that I'm going to win attitude. And once you're not engaging with negative self-talk and talking yourself out of every opportunity, you generally are in a better place than many people, because fear would have killed so many dreams, and you don't want to be old and regret not taking steps towards bettering your life or even engaging in opportunities that you never in your wildest dreams thought that you could achieve. So pray about it. Give yourself some grace. Remember, everything that we do that is new, it's our first time that we're doing it. The amount of times that you will be a newbie in life is crazy. So don't ever think that you will always have it together on the first try, right? Sometimes you falter so that you could bounce back stronger. So allow yourself grace. Don't beat up on yourself and be like, oh, I'm so dumb, I'm so stupid, why this person did it and why I couldn't do it. Come on. That person is not showing you the times that they failed. They're not showing you the times that they got it wrong. They're not showing you the times that people laugh at them. 9 times out of 10, you only get to see people's highlight reels. You don't get to see the hardships, things going wrong in the background, people who let them down. You don't get to see that. And because you don't get to see that, you can't truly say you know how that person got there, right? So when you're experiencing your own difficulties in your own space, you don't go beating up on yourself. You take it, you assess it, and you try again, right? And in everything, be grateful to those that are around you. You know, sometimes your friends and your family and your team around you go out for you and they go above and beyond for you. Ensure you tell them thanks. Tell them thank you, because they show up for you in the moments that sometimes you didn't even show up for yourself. And being grateful is very important. You know, we like to say ungratefulness is worse than witchcraft. We often say statements like that. And truth be told, we say it because when people don't show appreciation, it almost gives you the feeling as though they didn't care about your efforts. And trust me, if you would have valued someone's time and effort, it is important to go out of your way, just as they would have for you, to also tell them thanks. So with that, let me say thank you to the team here at the studio. Darian Melville, my studio manager, Joshua Powder, also another one of my studio managers. Thank you so much for your time and efforts here at the Tenaciously Resolute podcast. Guys, they are the technical backbone of this podcast, and to be honest, sometimes they make my life so easy. All I have to do is look pretty and show up, right? And it goes out to say that, you know, having really good people in your team, guys, you can't beat it. You cannot beat it. So show appreciation and gratitude in all things. And I'm so grateful to God, because without God, none of this wouldn't have been possible. None of it. Nothing that I would have been able to achieve for the year would have been possible. This year I was even sick for a little while, and God would have healed me. And even for that, I am grateful, because I'm no longer heading to Scarborough General every week. And sometimes, you know, when you're healthy, you know, you don't really study your health. You don't study, you know, how being sick feels. But trust me, after you spend a couple nights up in SGH, trust me, you will value health like none other, you know. So even for the nurses and the doctors that would have taken care of me, I am so appreciative. I know sometimes Scarborough General gets a bad rap. But life is not perfect. And sometimes these nurses and these doctors, they are all-star team members, you know. So even for them, I like to say thank you for all that you all would have done. And thank you for all that you do in serving the public. So guys, in terms of gratitude, let's not skip it. This is the season to be grateful for something. We're heading into a new year, and I know that though we would have had some hardships in this year, we would try to better ourselves in the year to come and finish this year strong. What I try not to do is not dwell on the negatives, because negatives will happen. It's life. You can't get away from negative outcomes from time to time. Life is not pitch perfect. The only time we see a straight line in this life is when you're about to die or when you're dead. You know, having a blip means that you're alive and things are active. So being grateful in all things is absolutely important. And with that, I'd also like to say thank you to all the guests that would have come on, all 12 of you. I'd like to say thank you so much. I feel as though with each interaction that I've had with my guests, I get to learn so much. Sometimes the people around you are a wealth of knowledge. They are our own personal walking library and resources. So let's not forget that when you interact with some of our very own. Sometimes we think that we need an expert from outside to come and edify us. No, we have them right here. and we have to tell them thank you. So guys, so all of you that would have contributed to this year of the podcast, this season, I truly appreciate it, and it was a pleasure having you on. So at this juncture, I would like to wrap this podcast with a couple tips this Christmas, because Christmas time is a time that we need some safety, right? This is a time of festivities, so while we are eating and drinking our sorrel, ginger beer, and puncha creme, I recommend that you all practice some road safety. We have lots to attend to. Please take your time on the Nation Road. I don't understand, around Christmas time is the time that you don't want to be inconvenienced the most. And that is the time that we typically see as a bad drive on the road. Don't join in. Give people the space. If they want to pass, let them pass. Because imagine having to fix your car after Christmas. Sometimes we don't think about that. You so want to run to go and buy this and buy that. But if you bounce your car, what car you going and use now? You have to go and deal with insurance and police and all kind of nonsense, and it spoil your Christmas. Take your time on the Nation Road, man. Take your time on the road, right? Secure life and limb first. Secure yourself and take your time. Outside of that, I know we out here painting house, painting gate, painting room, wiping walls, climbing up. Climbing up is half the reason that Scarborough General find people have a whole set of beds filled around Christmas time. Guys, the ground is far. After a certain age, falling down is not fun. That's the fastest way to injure your hip, your knee, and your back. So be cautious. If you're going to climb up, use some sort of scaffolding. Don't be doing no climbing up projects 12 feet off the ground with just a ladder, and you're maybe too heavy for the ladder. You have nobody else there to help you. We don't want that this Christmas. We want a very happy, a very merry and productive Christmas. So take care in the way that you operate, even when you go off to paint and clean and all of these things. Take it easy. Ask for help. Ask somebody else. Get somebody else to do it in some cases. And for the ladies, I know you're cooking, cleaning, baking, everything in between, buying gifts. Take some personal time for yourself. Take a breather. We don't need anybody coming down with high blood pressure. Take a breather. Rome was not built in a day. The house was not dirty in a day. Take your time, break things down into sections. Don't try to clean and sanitize the whole house and repaint and everything at December, Christmas Eve, or the eve of Christmas Eve. All now, and even before now, you should have started at least one location at a time. So this Christmas, while we aim to be merry and happy and jolly, please do so with some ease. Don't overwork the children. I'm hoping that we are finally breaking the bondage of cleaning 100 wares in a cupboard somewhere. Or granny wares and cups and china. I know as me in my house, I don't think the only thing that we're doing is serving the Lord. I don't think I ever want to have one of those big cupboards with 100 dishes and cups that you have to clean and decorate every year. But for those of you that have it, I wish you the best, right? I wish you the very best this season. Please, please, please don't traumatize the kids. I think that's a generational trauma that each of us in the Caribbean has at this point. And let's try to grow from there. And in all that you do and all the maintaining that you do, please ensure that you do it safely. I hope and I wish you all a very, very Merry Christmas. From the bottom of my heart and from my home and from my family to yours, Merry Christmas and have a bright and prosperous New Year. So guys, I think that's it for the podcast this week. It was nice having this little chit chat. I know normally you all have a guest, but today I was your guest. So with that, I think this is my wrap for this Christmas. I'll be seeing you all once again on New Year's and we'll do the podcast in review. But for next week, we will not be at the studio. I'll be off having a Merry Christmas myself. So guys, it was always amazing coming and check in and chat with you. I do wish you all season greetings once again. And from us here at the studio, continue to stay tenaciously resolute in all that you do and have a Merry Christmas and take care. Bye-bye. Welcome to the Tenaciously Resolute podcast.